Now we're going to start making our, actually I deleted the light back here because it wasn't making much of a difference. So we're going to actually hear how to do a good render, not just we've been always doing our rendered down here, and what we want to do now is be able to have more control over it and do a final picture. So we'll go back into Solid. Now if we click our little icon here that looks like a camera, the render settings, you'll notice some buttons here. There's a render, an animation, and an audio. The render will be for a still picture. You'll render a active scene. Later on, we should be doing some videos on doing animation, and that is animating each frame the specified amount of times. That's when you'll start using this timeline down here. When you make a frame, you move a little bit, move a little bit, move a little bit, move a little bit, and then you'll do an animation. It'll render frame 1, then it'll render frame 2, and make a series of them, or a movie, depending on how you decide to save it out. Your display is where it will be rendered. So I always like to change this to a new window, just so I can see behind it and be able to just X off when I'm, if I see it's not going the way I want. You have some render presets here. Your HD TV, 1080p, 720p, different things like that, depending on what you want to do. You can manually do the resolution here. So it's always nice to maybe double what size you want it. And then you have what percentage of that. So if you do a 920 by 1080, easy math, if you do 200 by 100 and you set it, it's going to render it out at 100 by 50. So this is good here. This is for when you start doing frames, your frame rates. Your output is where the picture is saved to. Now, on the pictures, you can save it there, but there's also a place if you do a new window, then you can save that out also. Just some different formats you can set in, PNG, JPEG, all kinds of different things. The freestyle setting, that's something we'll go over a little bit here. Your samples, and a lot of this stuff is not anything we'll fool with right now. Now we'll, actually to do one thing here, we want to change our setup a little bit because there's another thing I want to show you later on. How to do. Actually, let's do this first, and then we'll fool with this in a little bit later video. So if I have a 1920 by 50, and I go down here to my sampling, and I click sampling, open this, extend this out a little bit. This is my preview. This is what tells me, like when I do here, when I say rendered, see it says 1 of 10. My preview is set at 10. So this won't take much time, so I can see if my scene's even looking right. But on the render part, I can change that to a higher number. Hit Z a couple times to get into Solid. Let's see how simple this to 100. Now it's going to do 100 renders. A render is how much it calculates each part. The lower your render settings, the more grainy your picture is going to be, the higher, the more clear it's going to be up to a certain point, and then you're just wasting time. So 100 is a good number for just to show this. It shouldn't take too long. Now if I go up here and click the render button, a new screen comes up. It'll take a few seconds. You notice how much slower it is than the other render. So you can see how long, this is just a bare basic scene, and how long it can take sometimes. It all depends on the speed of your processor, and there's some optimizations you can do in here. But I'm using kind of just a laptop to do this, so it's taking a little extra time. But some people, depending on your processors and things like that, it can speed it up drastically or slow you down. So sometimes you want to do if you want to do a big render, you do it and you can go have some coffee or something like that, and you just come back in an hour or so, and hopefully your picture's done and good to go. I just wanted to show you what a render looks like. Next time I'll pause. I mean, you won't have to sit through all these renders next time. I'll pause it and turn it back on when it's done. And there we go. Now it's done. Up here you can see your frame. I'm just on frame 1. The time it took was 2 minutes and 17 seconds. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. How much memory it uses and things like that. As you can see, you basically have a finished product here. If I go to image, and if I put save as image, I can just save this as a regular JPEG or whatever. You just have to pick whether you want it a PNG or a JPEG. So you can actually save your renders doing that too, instead of using over here and here, or you can preset it up to do that. So we'll just X off that, and that'll be done.